Hey there YouTubers, Digger coming at you with a dance pole update. Today we are installing the spinning dance pole in the Kut-N-Loose pink bus. Let me show you how I do it. When you're putting a pole in a bus, the first thing you're going to have to do is cut the height down to what you need. Now on these poles, what I usually do, these are designed to actually go this way with this piece up at the top, but I'm going to show you guys how I cut these down and do these to where this part right here is at the bottom instead of the top. And I'll show you how to mount that, and you do everything to where you have a spinning dance pole in a party bus. These poles do factory have bearings in them. I get the ones that are spinning dance poles, but the way I do them, there's only going to be a bearing at the bottom. That's all that really matters. At the top, I'll cut this off, and I create what I call stacks, which is basically 3 pieces of 1/2 inch OSB stacked together for the top with a hole this diameter bored in the middle of it. The top gets cut off, goes up inside that hole. Those 3 the stacks get mounted to the ceiling, and then at the bottom I will drill and counterbore 4 holes in the bottom plate, and those will actually screw to the floor. So let's get this going and we'll show you how it's done. Okay everybody, so what I did is I went out and I had to measure the floor to ceiling overall height. That way I knew where to cut this down. We came up with a dimension of 74.5. So I've marked this tube up here at 74.5, and I'm going to cut this top off. So all of this stuff up here at the top, right here, this is all going to get cut off because we don't need any of this stuff. We can actually unthread this and get rid of this if we want. Which I am going to take it out because when I go to cut this tube, I don't want to have to cut through this heat treated steel. So I'll get this unthreaded and we'll get this pipe cut and we'll show you what happens from there. Alright everybody, so I've got this mark right here where I'm going to cut this little length off. That'll get rid of the threaded section in the front. And also when you go to take these out, they're usually threaded in about that far. So it takes a while to unthread those. So you take that out, and then I'm just going to use a 4-inch angle grinder with a cut-off wheel. That way we can buzz that off. So let me get that taken care of. Make a little bit of room here. Obviously, once you cut that, you want to just kind of walk around the edge and deburr it a little bit. I'll do this a little bit more because this is going to be stuck up inside the wood stacks. You don't want any kind of burrs in there, otherwise it's going to make the pole, when it goes to spin, it's going to have little tight spots in it. So just clean up the burr around that edge, and it doesn't matter how clean that cut is or anything like that, as long as you don't have any burrs around the outside. So now it's time we start making the stacks to go up inside of it. Alright, so what we're doing is we're starting out with just 3 pieces of wood that we know are large enough, and what I'm going to do is we're going to take a 2-inch hole saw, and we're going to screw these 3 pieces together, and then I'm just going to bore a hole all the way through all 3 of them, and this will end up being what I refer to as the stacks that hold the top part of the spinning dance pole. So let me get these all screwed together and I'll show you what I'm doing. Stop. Like I say, 2-inch hole saw, and I've already got 3 screws right here. The location of these doesn't matter as long as you can bore a hole through the middle of it, because those 3 screws are probably going to come back out. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to start to bore a hole right through here. You can see I've got some 2x4s to prop this up off the floor. that cleaned out of there, so now we can go on to the next one. You can turn it over. Now you got a pilot hole there. Line that up with that. Plug knocked out the other side. So now we have the whole board in the stacks. So now the next thing to do is check the diameter. So what we're going to do is just make sure that this fits in there. Alright, that's a perfect fit. What it is, you want that to be able to go up in there just right with a little bit of play. That way the pole will spin on it. This will all be cut up into designs and everything that match the interior and covered with black or green or purple or something. I gotta look inside the bus, maybe pink. But I'll cut different designs out in each one of these, and then that'll give us, you know, we'll be able to recenter that with this. And actually, if you bore this out and it's got a little bit too much play in it, all you have to do is offset one board from the other, and that'll shrink the hole down just a little bit. That'll take the play out of it. So the play really is no big deal. So let's carry on. We'll show you what to do next. All right, everybody. So this is what I refer to as the stacks. This is 3 pieces a 1/2 inch, all sandwiched together with a whole board in the middle of it. I will take these and probably wrap like 2 of these in pink, 1 of them in black, and these slide onto the top of that, and that gives you the top of your dance pole. It adds a little bit of design element to the interior and supports the pole at the very top, so they can spin. So let's move to the bottom of the pole, which is technically the top of the pole, but I flip them upside down. We'll show you what I do at the bottom of the pole in order to secure that to the floor, and then we'll get back to, all we have to do now is pop these apart, cover them, put them back together and everything, and then mount that to the ceiling, mount this part to the floor. And there is another little step that I have not talked about yet, and that is that there is a seam in the middle of this pole. And if you don't weld that up, this will forever unloosen in the bus. And clients don't know any different. They'll just keep on spinning on it until it's bent and tore up and all out of whack. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go in, I'm going to grind a little bit on each side of these, enough to get the chrome off of it. And then I'll just lay a little bit of a weld in there to permanently secure that together. So let's get on to the base and I'll show you how I do that down there. Alright, so now we've got our 4 holes drilled, and we also countersunk the tops of them. So we have 4 of those, and that will allow me to shoot drywall screws down through the floor and keep the heads a little bit flush. That way people's feet aren't snagging on them. So, time for the next step. Okay, so right here's my seam. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop in with the angle grinder, and I'm just going to kind of remove a little bit of chrome off of the top of that, because when we go to weld that, you can't weld to the chrome very easy. It'll spit and splatter all over the place. And what we're using is it's a MIG welder, but it's a flux core MIG welder, so it's a little bit different. So we definitely need to clean up these edges, so that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm too darn cramped in here. Show you another little trick. Take a little bit of masking tape, run it around 3 or 4 times. Run it around 3 or 4 times on each side where you're going to weld or grind. What this does is it helps the sparks from the weld or the grinder from messing up the chrome underneath of it. So that's all we do there. Now I can go in and I can grind on this, and as long as I don't grind through that tape, we'll all be good. Let me see if I can get this propped up somewhere where I can do this. Alright, so what we're going to do now is grind a little bit right in here. Now if you notice what I did here, I was spinning the pole and not moving the 4-inch angle grinder. That gives me a lot cleaner grind mark right there. So now I can go out and bring in the welder and I can lay some beads to this. Alright, so what we did here, I taped all this up, I welded it, and then I retaped it again. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to go back with the flat disc to clean this weld up, because you don't want people cutting their hands open or anything on it. So I'm going to smooth this weld out with the flat disc, and the new tape just kind of keeps me from putting scratches on the other part of the chrome. So that's what we're going to do now. You can always go back, and I may do it, re-weld on this again. That way it just fills in all the little critters and prey. It's feeling pretty smooth, got a little bit right in there, but I think I'm going to lay a little bit more weld in there because it's cratered pretty good down in there. So let's just go ahead and take care of that. Right, so there's my welded section after running the flat disc across it. If you want to, I mean, you can take these off. You can shoot this a certain color like black or something to adapt to the interior, or you can leave it alone. You can bondo it up if you want to before you paint it and slick it and everything like that. All I'm going to do, I'm just going to basically wrap some tape around it, and I'll shoot this in black so it looks like a black stripe around the pole. And that takes care of that part. Okay, so the next step is to check out how our stacks are going to look on the ceiling. So I came out to the bus, the pole is still in the shop. I just brought the stacks out just so I can kind of get an idea where I'm going to position it and how I'm going to position it. That way it looks right with the rest of the interior. I would say that right there is about right. So I'll take these back in the house. I'll separate these, and like I say, if I've got enough material, I'll router the edges on this and everything, make it look pretty. But I'd like to do pink, black, and pink. That way it merges in better with the interior. So let's go back in the house and start covering. Stop. So there's how everything looks once I've routed around it and everything. So let's find some material and get this stuff all wrapped in pink and black. Alright, so guys, never throw your scraps away. We've got 3 pieces here ready to cover. I've already got the material cut to fit. So now it's time to glue all this stuff up, get it all stuck together and everything. That way we can slam them together and stick them to the ceiling. Alright everybody, so we've got the stacks now all made up. So that is what's going to be at the top of the ceiling. I ended up doing it with 2 pinks and a purple. So now it's time to go out and install this in the bus. Alright, so what we've done here on the inside of the bus, we cut that pole to where it just has like a 1/4 inch or a 5/16 gap up at the top. The reason you want to do this is you can't have that pole going all the way to the top because of the way the bus flexes when you're driving it. You have to have a little bit of a gap in there in order to make that work right. So what we do then is we line it up with where we want the hole, which in this case is going to be right there where that little black cap is. We're going to put it right there. So what I have to do is line that up with that, then go down to the bottom where I've countersunk these screws and go ahead and screw that to the floor. What I usually try to do though is kind of turn it, get it to where it's basically in the center of the bus, but most importantly you want to make sure that it's centered up there where you want it. So right now we've got that turned pretty much the way we want it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick a level on it. Stick a level on it and you can get an idea. It's just about straight up and down. That's about right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure both ways to the kick panels because I want to make sure that this is not offset inside the bus. There we go. So come back just a hair. 24.5. About 24.5. So right there, we're pretty much centered in the bus. So I'll go ahead and shoot these to the floor. Alright everybody, so we've got the stacks installed. So that's what it looks like at the ceiling. Down at the bottom, we've got our 4 screws countersunk and mounted. So now we have an active spinning dance pole. Allow me to demonstrate. It works! Now I'm dizzy. Right everybody, so that's how Digger installs a spinning dance pole in a party bus. Your ideas may differ. It's just, that's the way I've done them for years. It works, it's heavy duty, and they don't come apart by welding them and everything. They don't unthread. To me, that's the best way to do it. So I thought I'd share that with everybody. Hope you have a good day. We will catch you on the flip side. Remember, the party starts here. Digger will catch you on the flip side. And hey, YouTubers, don't forget to hit that little subscribe button and maybe even that little ding ding bell thing. That way you get updated and you know what's going on right after I do it. So tune in, there's more to come. The party starts here.